Hey there! Today I'm going to show you how to set up input icons for input system in Unity. This really useful tool lets you display input bindings right alongside your text, with support for both regular UI and Text Mesh Pro. The best part is that it automatically switches between keyboard and controller displays, includes built-in rebinding support, and saves all binding changes automatically. Before we begin, we need to check our required packages. Navigate to the Package Manager through the Window menu at the top of Unity. You'll need to search for and install Text Mesh Pro. Though if you're using Unity 6, this will already be installed by default. Next, locate and install the Input System package. Finally, make sure to install the 2D Sprite package, as we'll need this for setting up input icons later. I already installed these packages in this project, and I also installed the essential resources of Text Mesh Pro. Now we can import the Input Icons package. When the import window opens, select everything and click Import. Simple as that. To set up input icons, go to the Tools menu and click on Input Icons Setup. This opens up our setup window. The window has a few sections through which we will go step by step. Don't worry. There is not too much to do, and the setup can be completed in a few minutes. First for the base setup. Here we have two lists of strings, one for our keyboard and mouse, and one for our gamepad control schemes. Below is a list of action assets we're planning to use in our project. Let's take a quick look at how our input action asset should be set up. A good asset will have different action maps, like one for platformer controls, another for helicopter controls, and one for menu controls. Each of these should have actions with bindings for both gamepads and keyboard and mouse. Here's an important step. We need to set up our control schemes properly. In your input action asset, first, select the keyboard control scheme in the top left, then click Edit. Second, make sure both keyboard and mouse are added to the keyboard and mouse scheme. Third, do the same thing for the gamepad scheme. Make sure gamepad is listed in the devices. Fourth, for each binding in your actions, check that the correct control scheme is selected. One thing to watch out for. The control scheme names in the Input Icons Setup window need to match exactly with the names you have in your input action assets. Alright, with that being done, you can already display button prompts in sprite renderers and UI images, but let's continue with the setup. In the Text Mesh Pro Setup section, we will create the necessary sprite assets so we can display our bindings in line with other text. Click the Create Update Assets button. This creates all the sprite assets we need to show input bindings. They'll be saved in the Text Mesh Pro Resources folder, making them easily accessible throughout your project. And with that, we can already display bindings by adding the text prompt component to a Text Mesh Pro text. Very nice. There is another option to display bindings in texts that allows you to display prompts without adding any components, using style tags. To set this up, first make sure you've added all your input action assets to the Used Action Assets list, as we'll need to add their bindings to the default style sheet. You have two options for the setup. First, Quick Setup. Just click the buttons in order and wait for compilation between steps. Second, Manual Setup. This is faster as it doesn't require recompilation. Click Prepare Style Sheet. Make any small change to the default style sheet and undo it, then click Add Input Styles. Now the names of our bindings will be added to the style sheet. And that's all we need to start using input icons. You can now display button prompts along with other text without the need for additional components. Just use the style tag and use the name of the action map and the name of the action to display your bindings. Want to test if everything's working? Open up an example scene. You should see your bindings. Depending on the scene, you will see text showing all the actions from your input action assets. When you play the scene, you'll find a simple player character that can move, jump, and shoot. Press Escape to open a menu where you can change the bindings. Here's something nice. Notice how all the Text Mesh Pro texts update automatically when you change bindings? All those changes get saved in player preferences and load up when you start the game. Even better, If you plug in a gamepad, all the text will update to show gamepad controls instead. And yes, you can use those same rebind buttons to change gamepad bindings too. And that's it. You now know how to set up input icons for input system in Unity. You can now display input icons in regular UI with image prompt components. Display prompts in sprite renderers with sprite prompt components. Show bindings in TMPro text with text prompt components. Use style tags like style equals gameplay jump directly in any TMPro text. Add rebinding support with the UI rebind input action component. If you need more details, check out the guide in the Input Icons folder or other related videos on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and happy coding!